Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Tejal Daftary here, and I run a company called Alphabet Media. It's a public relations company. Uh, when I was asked to talk about public relations per se, I had so many topics in my mind because there is so much, that goes behind PR. But there are two things that are really close to my heart. One is mastering PR, because there are so many ways in which we can master PR, and we need to master PR because it's the era of being the best. And secondly is how do we set up our own PR agency? Because today when I talk to a lot of students, I talk to a lot of people, I get to hear there is this great enthusiasm on starting things on our own and doing something good, doing things on our own. But they are a little clueless on how do we start, where is the starting point. So I thought that why not combine both the topics, and here I am to present both the topics to you. A little about myself. I have been in the industry for over 10 years, around 12 and a half years. It's just a beginning for me because every day is a learning, and every day is a new day in PR, and that's what excites me, because what was PR which was there 10 years back is very different to PR which is 10 years now from as on today. You can ask me questions as and when. You can write to me, you can type questions to me, I'll be happy to answer them. However, let's first start with the presentation. So I'm just going to quickly switch on the presentation, and then we start. Okay, just a minute. Okay. So I've divided the presentation into two parts, like I said. So I'm going to focus the first 7 to 8 minutes on the first part, which is mastering the PR world, and the second 7 to 8 minutes talking about setting up your own PR agency. Okay, this is the most interesting incident, or rather a case study that I've come across in my field of PR, of whatever reading I have done. So let me start with this. It's one of my favorite breakfasts as well. I'm sure if y'all have gone to a hotel at any point in time, and if y'all eat non-vegetarian or eggs, you must have tried eggs and bacon at some point in time in a good hotel. But little do we all know, or I'm not too sure if people know about it, but this entire concept of eating eggs and bacon during breakfast is resulted out of a PR campaign. This is started by a man known as Edward Bernays. Now, he happens to be a cousin of Sigmund Freud. This campaign was completely orchestrated by him in the 19th century, when his client, who was a food manufacturer, came to him and said that, listen, I need to get Americans to consume more meat. How do I do that? So Bernays is like, okay, fine, let me get back to you. What he did is he did intense research, and he identified how about inducing the concept of healthier breakfast? How about focusing on bacon, eggs as part of a breakfast? What he did then is he kind of interviewed around 5,000 doctors in America to understand if this concept of eating meat during breakfast is a good idea and if it's healthier. Out of 5,000 doctors, around 4,500 doctors said, yes, why not? We can definitely eat meat over breakfast. And that's how the campaign got structured, and the rest is history, because today we all know that one of the most popular breakfasts is egg and bacon. So what do we learn about? What do we learn from this campaign? What are the tools, or what are the learnings from this campaign to master PR? The first thing is always listen first. It's actually easy, but it's the most difficult to do, because today when you are a PR professional, or when you're starting your own PR agency, there is just not one client. There are very many clients, and there's a lot of work to be done. you really run out of time because there's so much work that you have to do at a single point in time. And it's not like you've structured your day and the day will go the way you've planned. There are things that keep coming because it's a very dynamic industry. When the industry is so dynamic, you tend to get a little hassled about things because the things don't go the way you've planned. In that case, when briefs are given to you, it kind of gets a little tedious. So that's when you kind of tend to lose focus. But the key part to mastering PR is to listen. Always listen first. Listen to your clients, listen to your employees, listen to your colleagues, listen to your bosses, listen to your associates. Whoever you are dealing with in this industry, you need to listen to them first. In this case, Bunny's understood what is the problem. He understood the problem well. Because he understood the problem well, he understood the brief well, is when he could give a proper solution. So the key part to success, or the key success to any campaign or any work that we do in PR, is to listen to anyone who you're associated with in the PR industry, which is honestly not that easy. The second most important thing is research. The most critical and the most essential ingredient in PR. The reason why it's critical and essential is because, like I said, we do a lot of things, at a point in time. And the challenge is always quality versus quantity. No matter what work we have on our plate, research is most crucial because research sets the base for everything and anything that we do. And when it comes to research is, today when a client gives you a brief, that's when you listen. When a client gives you a brief, you ought to go back to the client with an idea that is supported by facts, that is supported by observations. And that will only happen if you do your research very well. Hence, research is of utmost importance. The third part is my favorite brand and my favorite person, Steve Jobs. What do we learn from him? What do we learn from the company? The most important thing, again, is after doing research is to develop an idea. Develop an idea that eventually creates an impact. Today, whatever we do, today, anything that we do, we want to ensure that it is a case study, it is known. I mean, we could do the smallest of the things to biggest of the things, but any work that we do, we want that work to be recognized. And that will only happen when we have the belief in our idea. And the most important thing in the idea is the idea has to be simple. We need to believe in the power of simple. When I started my own company, Alphabet Media, the first thing that I knew and the first thing that I taught to my colleagues was believe in the power of simple. Deconstruct the idea in such a way that it's simplified so that the clients understand and eventually the media understands and our target understands. Today we need to realize that it's a battle not of where I want my article to be out. 10 years back, we only had like 10 papers, 5 channels, 10 magazines. It was fairly easy because at the end of the day, I just had to get like my article out in one of these papers or very many papers. But today, it's not that. Today, anyone can open a website. Anyone can open a blog. There are so many mediums there. But the point is, the challenge is not the battle of space. The challenge is the battle of mind. How do I get into the mind of the person? I can only get into a mind of the person if my idea is impactful. So ensure that, and in order to ensure that the idea is impactful, you need your research. You need to listen to your client first. You need to do your research, and then you need to come to an idea. Just like how Barney's came up with an idea of conceptualizing a sturdier breakfast. What follows an idea? It's the communication channels. That's why clients hire us. The reason why they hire us is because we know the channels that we are dealing with. Today, I have been in the industry for 13 years. When I started, I did not know what social media was. However, today I can't be ignorant and say that I don't know what an Instagram is or I don't know what a Twitter is, because a lot of our audience is on social media today. A lot of our audience is on Snapchat today. No matter how much I might not like the medium, or I might not be very personally active on the medium, I ought to know the medium very well, because that is an essential part of my communication program. So we need to understand our channels extremely well, because these are the places where we are going to talk about our clients. If we do not know the channels well, it puts us under a little bit of an issue, because every campaign is not going to be an expensive one. Every campaign is not going to be with big budgets. We need to ensure that we provide solutions that are realistic in nature, that are affordable in nature, and that can only happen when you understand that what medium is the most effective one for your client. So, be it if you've just entered in the industry, and you're socially active, it's fine. But you need to know your regional media as well. You need to know you need to know that which are the top five newspapers in Bombay versus the top five newspapers which are in Chennai versus the top five newspapers which are in tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well. That's the knowledge of media that we need to build when we are entering into the media industry. That's how we master in the field of PR. Oh, speed, the most important thing again, because PR is all about today. That is what keeps us moving. That is what keeps me moving on the edge. It's all about now. It's all about today. If it's not about today, if it's not about now, it's gone. Because I don't know if y'all have watched the movie Corporate, or there are so many movies. If you don't talk about your idea today, there are 10 competitors outside who are willing to either take the idea or think of the same idea and just present it to the audience outside. So it is definitely all about now. Few years back, channels weren't very active. There was no journalism, in the sense that the incident has happened now and the news has flashed on your phone. People used to wait for papers tomorrow, but it's not the case anymore now. So newspapers need to be equally active the way channels are. That is the kind of speed that we are talking about here. A last thing, actually not the last, specialists. Initially, back then, we all had to be, I would say, jack of all and master of none. But it's kind of moved from jack of all and master of one. Because there are so many channels, because there is so much work, because the role of PR has changed and has become more integrated in nature. By integrated, I mean it's just not about talking to the papers, but it's also approaching the mediums where your customer is present. It might not be newspapers, it might not be a social media, but it could just be, let's say, talking to a club where your target audience goes. Target audience is present, or it could be talking to an event company like a marathon where you would want your brand to be present. There are a lot of mediums, so it's very difficult for any PR person to kind of get knowledge about all the sectors that a person the person is representing their brands on. So how does this work? What is the future of PR? What is it that they're anticipating the future of PR as? The best way to go is to become a sector specialist. Because you become a sector specialist, you have the ability to master in a particular sector. Once you master in the particular sector, you understand the sector very well. You understand the sector so well that it gives you an edge to make presentations, to present ideas that are far better than people who have knowledge about different variety of sectors, because you're focusing on one sector only. So you know the media well, you know your competitors well, and you know your industry well. That's why people prefer specialists over others. And last but not the least, this is actually one of my favorite, because we are in the PR industry, and trust me, the PR industry itself needs a lot of PR, because even today, a lot of people yet do not know what PR is. A lot of people think that PR is advertising, but that's really not the case, because PR and advertising are very different. So what does the PR industry require, and what should one require? How do you master is to do your own PR. Now, how do you do your own PR is, it's very simple. You need to be active everywhere. You need to reach out to audiences. You need to be present on mediums where you think your audience is present. Today, when you have done work, You need to showcase the work that you've done. You need to talk about the knowledge that you've gathered in your industry. Share thoughts, share insights, share observations, share ideas. We have so many platforms that we can share all our insights and observations from. Share it. You never know what might happen tomorrow. So it's very, very essential. If you want to master in the field of PR, you have to do your own PR. This is what I mean. There are lots of other things, but from my point of view, is these are the few or other 7 most essential things that are very critical if you want to master in the field of PR. I'll take questions later. I'll move to the second topic, is setting up your own business. A lot of people today want to set up their own businesses. A lot of people, in fact, a lot of youth at the age of 23, 24, they want to set up their own businesses, which is a very fair thing, because when I was 24, I started with my own company. It's been around 9 to 10 years that I've been in my businesses, and trust me, the businesses, no matter how talented you are in PR, but a talented PR person and a business person, they're very different things. Because, like I said, no matter how talented in PR you are, it does not necessarily mean that you can be talented in business, because running a business is a completely different ballgame. We'll dive into it later. So the first thing is setting up a foundation. When you start anything, the most essential thing is to set up a base. If your base is not strong, there is no point surviving on that base, because it's going to fall at any point in time. It's pretty much the same thing across industries. It's pretty much the same thing in PR as well. How do you set up your own base? When you want to do PR, the first thing is you need to get an agency experience. You have to have considerable amount of experience, because things, like I said, things change every day. A year, 2 years, 3 years experience is not something that might help if you want to set up a business on your own, and if you want to sustain a business on your own. That's one learning that I've learned from my experience, because when I look back, I feel that I should have stayed for a longer period of time in an agency and then start my own company. However, from my learnings, I feel that the most important thing is to at least have a good agency experience before you want to plunge into your own startup. That's the first thing I would highly recommend for anyone who wants to start their own PR agency. What's the second most thing? The second most thing is to ensure that you define your PR agency. What kind of agency you want to build? Do you want to be a specialist? Do you want to be do you want to have integrated communications? Do you only want to be in PR? Do you want to be only in digital PR? Do you want to be only in influencer management? Or do you want to have all of it? The reason why it's very important is because it kind of gives clear messaging to the audience as to what is it that you are doing. And that's something which is very essential. The third thing is you need to identify at what level of PR agency do you want to open. It could be a freelancer, it could be a SME, it could be a large size agency, it could be a boutique PR agency, it could be a public affairs agency, it could be anything. That's something you need to define, because that's something, basis that definition, you're going to set your ground rules of running a company. Because what you do as a startup or what you do as a freelancer is very different from what you do if you're running a boutique agency versus a large agency setup. So that is something that you need to define. The last thing while setting up a foundation is develop a very strong team. This is the most difficult thing in PR, especially when you're starting a company, because attrition levels are extremely high when it comes to the PR industry. And it's just not PR, it's across industries. But no PR industry or no PR agency can function without a team. The team is the foundation of the company. It's extremely, extremely important to retain your team, to ensure that your employees are happy, to ensure that you understand your employees, and ensure that you set a team in such a way that can be a strength for you and for the company. That's what I mean by setting up the foundation. The most important thing in PR agency is it is all about you. Whether you start a freelance agency or you small agency, boutique agency or large agency, the moment you start something on your own, it's not the company that is defined, it's you who define the company. So the entire agency is all about you. We need to understand that when whoever starts at any point in time, any person who starts an agency, 97 of the agencies shut in the first 3 years of the in the first 2 years of the business, and 99% businesses shut in the third year of the business. How is it that we pass through this? We pass through this is when we know what the rules, what rules are we laying down for our agency. How much are we dedicating ourselves to the agency? Because it's just not about starting the agency, it's about running the agency, it's about evolving with the agency. There are so many things that we need to do when you start your own agency. When I say that it's all about you, what I mean by that is, today when a client comes to you, it's only because they have trust in you. They have trust in the attitude you bring on the table. It's clearly attitude versus deliverables. It's honestly, when we start and when you are new, when you've started new, and when you present yourself to the client for business development, the client is going to look at the ability, the discipline you bring, the trust you bring, and the attitude you bring to the table than the deliverables and the rest of the other things. Because if the person, it's all about the person. It's a very personalized field, so it's all about the person who is running the industry, who is running the company, than the other things. Hence, it's all about you. Sorry. All right. Okay. So the third thing is knowing the rules. Very important thing. When you're starting the industry, you need to define your company rules. You need to define what rules you want to define for your company. The first and the most essential rule is set up the processes. The processes are the key to PR industry. I keep telling my colleagues that in God we trust, and everything else we document, because documentation is the key. Setting up processes is the key. It's the key rule to PR industry. That's the first thing, because we're in a business of trust. The second thing is client servicing, the most essential uh, uh, client servicing, the most essential part of PR. The reason why we all are here is because of the clients. The client is literally the center of everything that we do. We need to live by our clients. We need to go out of the way for our clients. We need to possibly do everything that we can do to the best of our ability, because we need to understand this. Out of all the agencies that are there in the industry today, the client has trusted us and have given us the mandate. How do we do to ensure that we are our very best when it comes to client servicing? We are our very best when it comes to delivering the work that we do for our clients. So the second and the most important thing is client servicing. And trust me, it's a business of relationships. So we ought to be very good at client servicing. Third thing is to always value add. It's just not about getting 5 articles in a month or getting 2 events in a month. It's just not about deliverables. It's not like a product game wherein I buy something for 10 rupees and I get that product. This is a service-driven industry. We ought to value add. It's the most crucial thing. Again, value addition can be in any format. You need to kind of value add in terms of offering different ideas, offering different campaign ideas, going out of the way to do things for your clients, ensuring that your client is present at places that the clients aspire to be present at those places, so on and so forth. So value addition is another key to rule to follow when you're setting up your own agency. Third thing is always be proactive. Always get your team to be proactive, because staying reactive is not going to help. It's going to be very short term. You need to be proactive 24/7. That's like the foremost rule when it comes to defining your own PR agency. And it's just not you who need to be proactive. You need to tell all the employees of your company to be proactive as well. Fourth thing is you need to ensure that over deliver and under promise. You have to deliver. It's again the most important thing because a client has trusted you. That's why it's very, very important to deliver. When I started my own company, there were a lot of times when I've done pro bono work. The reason I've done pro bono work is because I know that today my work needs to talk. My work needs to be highlighted. How otherwise am I going to talk about my agency? I can't just start my own agency like this by just sitting in an office in front of the computer. So there are a lot of times I've done pro bono work, and that work has become my case study, and that work has given me clients. So do believe in pro bono work. Do work that might not result into anything now, but will definitely result into something in future. So that's extremely important to do pro bono work. Set up your divisions very well. So when it comes to setting up a PR agency, there are divisions. Like I said, a role of a PR person is very different, and a role of a person who runs business is very different. PR industry or any company setup is all about different departments. Your one department is your client servicing department. Your second department is your business development department. Your third department is your accounts department. Your accounts is the backbone of the company. Your financials need to be sorted. It cannot go wrong when you are setting up your own company. You need to know the finances well. Fourth is your HR department, which again is a very important department because it's all about taking care of the employees, employee engagement programs, etc., and administration. Here, again, like I said, you need to be jack of all and master of none, because there are times when we would say that we do not know how to operate Tally, or we do not know what's going on accounts, but we can't be ignorant. We need to know everything that's happening within our company and across departments. Crisis. It can hit you at any point in time. Any. Precautions are a must. I'll give you an example. My company was managing India Bike Week. We were managing last November, and unfortunately, 90% of all my colleagues had fallen sick. Were down with dengue. In that case, we were in such a crisis, but we didn't give up. We had to know that we had to pull this event off. And we not only had to pull this event off, but we had to do our very best to pull this event off because our name is attached to the company and the client has trusted us. The person who was on the account, in spite of dengue, also traveled to Goa to ensure that she is part of the event. So this is what I mean by team. This is what I mean by the company. This is what I mean by the values. This is what I mean by the attitude. You have to kind of take care of crisis. Only when you take care of crisis and when the client knows that you've kind of taken care of the account even during crisis, is when a long-term relationship is established. Crisis can come at any point in time. It's just like how you know about Cadbury crisis or Nokia crisis. There are so many crises that we've seen over the years in PR. That's really when the agency establishes lifelong relationships with the client, because they are always there. And that's really the power of PR, because it is during crisis that PR is the only industry that helps the brand compared to the other media industries. So this is what I mean by rules. There are a lot of other rules that will help, which we need to follow when we are setting up the agency. But overall, I think what really works for me is this rule, which is there is nothing known as I can't. It's always I can. I'd like to conclude with giving one more example. We manage a very interesting brand. When I went to them, I thought that they only wanted PR, but when we were sitting in the meeting for the first time, they came to me and they said that we do need PR, but in addition to PR, we also need a lot of influencers. We need a lot of celebrities talking about our brand. That point in time, I really did. I was like, while I can do it, but I've not done it, and I really don't know how is it possible. But I did not give up. I went back, I did my research, I ensured that it's possible, and I presented our influencer management complete presentation to them, and trust me, it worked wonders for us. So that's why there is never a I can't attitude, it's always I can. So PR, I mean, when it comes to setting up an agency, trust me, it's a 24/7 job, and it's not for the faint-hearted, because anything can happen anytime. You just have to be the best, and you have to stand by it, and you don't have to lose focus. Thank you so much.